Hey everyone, ready to get our hands dirty with some learning?
Sounds fun.
We're diving into design-based learning today, or DBL for short.
Awesome.
And, I'm all about putting knowledge into action.
Right.
And this is going to be right up your alley too, because it's not just for designers.
Yeah, it's for everyone.
And DBL is this super cool way of learning. It can be used in any subject, seriously.
I love that about it.
Think learning by designing.
Like hands-on, right.
Exactly, like learning by designing to solve real problems.
Yeah, what's so fascinating about DBL is that it shifts learning from, just passively absorbing information to actually using that knowledge.
Putting it into practice.
Yes. To create something new, to solve real-world problems, that's what makes a difference.
Okay, so paint me a picture here. How does DBL actually work?
Well, we've got some great sources to guide us today.
Okay, awesome.
We've got a few excerpts about DBL frameworks, some benefits,
Cool.
that Wikipedia deep dive you sent over. And there's also a really interesting article about how DBL is being used in school education.
Perfect. Let's jump right in.
All right. So 2 key frameworks for DBL are the Doreen Nelson design process and the ADE model.
I'll admit I'm more of a big picture person.
Sure.
Can you break those frameworks down for me?
Of course.
Without getting too lost in the weeds.
Absolutely. The Doreen Nelson process has 8 steps.
8 steps, okay.
And it's all about this, cyclical, hands-on approach to problem solving through design.
Okay.
You investigate, define needs, develop criteria, brainstorm, prototype, test, refine, and evaluate.
Wow, it's a lot.
It's an ongoing process, really. It's all about doing and improving, kind of like a continuous feedback loop,
So it's not just a straight line from A to B.
Nope.
You're constantly looping back, refining as you go.
Exactly.
I like that.
It was developed in the 1980s, so it's been around for a while.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the AD-DIE model?
The AD-DIE model is a bit broader. It's often used for, creating any kind of learning experience.
Right.
It has 5 phases.
Okay.
Analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation.
So it really emphasizes planning things out, trying things out, getting feedback,
Yeah.
and continuously improving.
It really aligns with the whole DBL philosophy.
Yeah, I see the connection. Both of these models are about actively engaging with the material and learning by doing, right?
Precisely.
Rather than just passively listening or reading.
Exactly. And, when we look at the benefits highlighted in our sources, it becomes even clearer why DBL is gaining so much traction.
All right, let's talk about those benefits.
Sure.
You know me, I'm always on the lookout for ways to learn more effectively.
Well, one of the key benefits is this idea of deeper learning. Think of it this way.
Okay.
Imagine you're learning about physics.
Okay, yeah.
In a traditional classroom, you might memorize formulas.
Right.
With DBL, you might design a working catapult, and you're applying those formulas to understand trajectory and force.
That sounds way more engaging than just memorizing formulas.
Right.
Yeah, I'm starting to see how this could really make learning stick.
Exactly. Because you're applying the knowledge, to create something. You're not just memorizing facts, you're understanding the why behind them, and then you're using that knowledge to build something new, to solve a problem, and that leads to much deeper comprehension and retention.
Okay, deeper learning, check. What else have we got?
Another huge benefit is the development of what are often called 21st century skills, like collaboration, communication, critical thinking, creative problem solving. DBL hits all those marks.
Now, those are skills I can definitely get behind. It seems like DBL is almost like a boot camp for those essential skills.
You could say that. And let's not forget about engagement. The research really emphasizes how DBL projects can be tailored to, your specific interests.
So it's not just some generic textbook exercise.
No, not at all.
It's something you actually care about.
Exactly.
I can see how that would make a world of difference in motivation and how much you actually learn.
Absolutely. And that ties directly into another key benefit, boosted confidence. DBL allows you to experiment, to fail safely, and learn from your mistakes, which is essential for developing a growth mindset.
That resonates with me, and I know resonates with our listeners too, that freedom to try things out without fear of failure is so important for building confidence and resilience.
Couldn't agree more.
Now, This is reminding me of that article we have about DBL in schools. It seemed to highlight some really exciting examples of how this approach is transforming classrooms. What stood out to you?
Well, one thing that really caught my eye was how DBL helps students connect their learning to real-world problems.
Yeah.
They're not just learning for the sake of learning, they're applying knowledge to tackle challenges that they might actually face in their lives.
That's a powerful motivator. Instead of it being just theoretical, it suddenly becomes relevant, and applicable to their lives.
And it's not just the students who benefit. The article also talked about how DBL encourages teachers to take on a more facilitative role, guiding students through the design process instead of, just standing at the front of the classroom lecturing.
That's a huge shift. It puts the students in the driver's seat of their learning.
Exactly.
And lets teachers act more like coaches or mentors.
Exactly. Which in turn helps students develop those crucial self-directed learning skills, taking ownership of their education and, becoming more independent learners.
I'm loving this. But I have to ask, are there any downsides? The article did mention some challenges, right?
You're right. There are always challenges. One of the things they highlighted was the issue of resource constraints. Not every school has the budget or infrastructure to fully implement DBL.
Right. That makes sense.
And there's also the need for proper teacher training.
Oh, of course.
It takes a skilled educator to effectively guide students through this process.
So it's not a magic bullet. Right. There are real-world hurdles to consider. But despite these challenges, the article did share some inspiring success stories, right? Like examples of how DBL is already making a positive impact in schools.
Oh, absolutely. There are some fantastic examples of schools that have successfully implemented DBL and seen incredible results.
Oh, wow.
In terms of student engagement, academic achievement, and even just overall excitement about learning.
Okay, so it's not all sunshine and roses.
Right.
There are some challenges to address. But the potential benefits of DBL are undeniable.
Yes.
This is fascinating stuff. But I'm curious, is DBL just for schools? I have a feeling it could be applied in so many other contexts as well.
You're absolutely right. That's one of the things that makes DBL so exciting. It's not limited to the classroom.
Let's dig into that then, because I'm dying to know how we can take this beyond traditional educational settings. And I bet our listeners are too.
Great. Well, for starters, the sources hinted at how parents could use DBL principles at home.
Oh, interesting.
They could encourage creative problem solving through things like at-home design challenges, or even just encouraging their kids to approach, everyday tasks with a design thinking mindset.
Hold on. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's not just about schools. It's about fostering that creative problem-solving spirit in all aspects of life. I'm already thinking about ways I can apply this with my own family.
You love that. And on a more individual level, the sources also touched on how DBL could be a powerful tool for self-directed learning, even outside of any formal educational setting.
That's interesting. I could see how you could use those same DBL principles to, tackle a personal project.
Yes.
Learn a new skill. Or just dive deeper into a topic you're passionate about. What would that look like in practice?
Well, imagine you want to, let's say, learn how to build a website. You could use the DBL framework to guide your learning, researching different approaches, brainstorming ideas, experimenting with different tools,
Okay, yeah.
creating prototypes, getting feedback from others, and refining your design as you go. It's a really powerful way to take ownership of your learning and make meaningful progress toward your goals.
Wow, that's amazing. I can see how DBL could be this incredibly powerful framework for anyone who's passionate about learning, growing, and taking on new challenges.
And that really speaks to the heart of what DBL is all about.
Right.
Empowering learners of all ages to become active participants in their own education and development.
It's not just about acquiring knowledge. It's about using that knowledge to make a real impact.
I love that. But we're just scratching the surface here. There's so much more to uncover about the potential of DBL and how it can be used to transform the way we learn, both in and out of the classroom.
Absolutely. We've explored the frameworks, the benefits, some real-world examples, but there are some really fascinating future trends and possibilities to discuss as well. And speaking of the future, one of the things that really piqued my interest in the research was this idea of incorporating digital tools and platforms into DBL. Ooh, that sounds intriguing. I can see that opening up all sorts of possibilities. What kind of digital tools are we talking about here?
Well, think about things like virtual reality,
Yeah.
3D modeling software, online collaboration platforms,
Yeah.
These tools could allow students to design and prototype solutions in a much more immersive and interactive way.
Okay.
Imagine students across the globe working together on a virtual DBL project,
Wow.
designing a sustainable city of the future, or maybe even tackling a global health crisis.
Whoa, that's mind-blowing. It's like taking DBL to a whole new dimension. I can see how those digital tools could really amplify the creative potential of DBL.
Absolutely. And it's not just about technology for technology's sake.
Right.
It's about using these tools to create richer, more engaging, and more collaborative learning experiences.
Okay, so we've got digital tools expanding the possibilities of DBL. What else is on the horizon?
Well, another trend the sources touched on was this idea of interdisciplinary approaches to DBL.
Oh,
It's about breaking down those traditional subject silos and allowing students to explore problems through multiple lenses.
so instead of just tackling a problem from a purely scientific perspective, you might also consider the social or ethical or even artistic dimensions of the issue.
Exactly.
That's a much richer and more nuanced way of looking at things.
It reflects how problems are actually solved in the real world.
Yeah.
We rarely deal with issues that fit neatly into a single subject category.
I love that it's about preparing students to think critically and creatively about complex challenges, which is what they'll need to do in the real world.
Precisely. And speaking of the real world, I know you're a big advocate for lifelong learning.
Yes.
I was particularly intrigued by the suggestion that DBL could be a valuable tool for self-directed learning, even outside of formal education.
Oh, absolutely. We've talked about how DBL can be used in schools and by parents. But I think the idea of applying those same principles to our own personal learning journeys is incredibly empowering. It's like taking control of your own education.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything formal or structured. It could be something as simple as applying the DBL framework to learn a new skill tack, a personal project, or even just explore a topic you're passionate about.
Let's say I wanted to, learn how to play the guitar. Could I use DBL for that?
Of course, you could research different learning methods, experiment with various techniques, get feedback from other musicians, and refine your approach as you go. You're essentially designing your own personalized learning experience.
I'm starting to see how this could be applied to almost anything. It's a mindset shift more than anything else.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. It's about approaching learning with a sense of curiosity, creativity, and a willingness to experiment and iterate.
Speaking of iteration, I'm curious about how we assess learning in a DBL context.
Okay.
Traditional methods like standardized tests don't seem like a good fit here.
Yeah.
What are some alternatives?
Well, the research pointed to a few really interesting alternative assessment strategies that are much more aligned with the DBL philosophy. Things like portfolios, where students showcase their work and reflect on their learning process.
So instead of just a letter grade on a test, you have this rich collection of evidence that demonstrates what the student has actually learned and created.
Exactly. It paints a much more holistic picture of their growth and understanding. And then there are things like peer reviews, where students provide each other with constructive feedback, learning from each other's perspectives.
I can see how that would encourage collaboration, critical thinking. It's not just about getting the right answer. It's about understanding the process and learning from each other. What about self-assessment? Does that play a role in DBL?
Absolutely. Self-assessment is crucial in DBL. It encourages students to reflect on their own progress, identify their strengths and weaknesses, and set goals for future growth. It's about fostering that metacognitive awareness, that ability to think about your own thinking.
It sounds like assessment in DBL is much more about growth and understanding than just checking boxes and memorizing facts.
You've got it. It's about focusing on the process of learning, the skills developed, and the tangible outcomes produced.
This has been an eye-opening exploration of BBL. We've covered so much ground: the frameworks, the benefits, the real-world applications, and now these exciting future trends.
And through it all, we've seen how DBL empowers learners, fosters creativity, and connects learning to real-world challenges.
But as with any deep dive, it's also sparked some new questions. And I think that's the beauty of it all. The more you learn, the more you realize there's still so much more to discover.
Absolutely. And that insatiable curiosity is what fuels the learning process.
Speaking of which, there's one question that's been swirling in my mind and something I'd love for you, our listener, to consider as well. Could DBL be a valuable tool for addressing some of the larger societal challenges we face?
It's a big question.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth exploring. We've talked about how DBL can help individuals learn and grow, but could it also be used to tackle those big systemic issues that we're all grappling with?
I think it has enormous potential in that realm. Think about it.
yeah.
The core principles of DBL, empathy, collaboration, iterative design, these are all essential skills for addressing those complex challenges like climate change,
Oh, yeah.
poverty, or even access to healthcare.
That's so true. It's not just about designing objects or products, right? It's about designing solutions to real-world problems. And those solutions often require collaboration, creativity, and a willingness to experiment and adapt.
Exactly. Imagine communities coming together using DBL principles to address like local challenges.
Maybe it's designing a more sustainable food system or creating a community space that fosters, social connection.
Right.
Or think about organizations using DBL to develop innovative solutions to like global issues. Maybe it's designing a low-cost water purification system for developing countries. Or even creating a new model for affordable housing.
Wow, those are powerful examples. I'm starting to see how DBL could be this incredible force for positive change, not just on an individual level, but on a societal level as well.
It's about shifting from a mindset of just talking about problems to a mindset of actually designing solutions, and that's where DBL can really shine.
It's about empowering people to become active problem solvers.
Yeah.
To roll up their sleeves and get involved in creating a better future.
Precisely, and that's what makes me so optimistic about the potential of DBL. It's not just a set of tools or a teaching method, it's a way of thinking,
Yeah.
It's a way of approaching the world with a solutions-oriented mindset.
I love that. It's about fostering that belief that we can actually make a difference, that we can use our creativity and ingenuity to create positive change.
And that belief is essential if we want to tackle the complex challenges we face. DBL isn't a silver bullet, but it can be a powerful catalyst for innovation and progress.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into design-based learning.
It has.
We've explored the frameworks, the benefits, the real-world applications, the future trends, and even the potential for DBL to address societal challenges. It's clear that DBL is much more than just a buzzword.
Right.
It's a transformative approach to learning with far-reaching implications.
It really is. And I think the most important takeaway for our listeners is that DBL is not just for students or educators. It's for anyone who's passionate about learning, growing, and making a difference in the world.
So, dear listener, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. Embrace the principles of DBL. Apply them to your own life, your work, your community, and see what amazing things you can create. The power to design a better future is in your hands.
And remember,
Yeah.
the journey of learning and discovery never truly ends. There's always something new to explore, something new to create. Keep that curiosity alive, keep experimenting, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
That's it for this deep dive into design-based learning. Thanks for joining us on this journey. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a topic that's sure to spark your curiosity and ignite your imagination.